Wetzel is not for everyone. For instance, sane people who can easily tell right from wrong are strongly urged to change the channel. Doctors Radio declared listening to Scott Wetzel can be hazardous to your health and can cause sickness, strokes, or wanting to take long walks on short piers. Feelings of agitation, dizziness, depression, frustration, and cold sweats are common when listening to Scott. You can have a bad reaction, such as confusion, redness in the face, teeth clenching, fist pounding, wanting to put a fork in your eye, and feeling the need to throw your radio out the window. Listeners have also reported increased swearing, trouble sleeping, and a strong desire to gamble. Truckers and drivers are urged to stay away. Learn from Jack from Arkansas. As for women, don't even think about it.
Oh no, my nipples clearly got erect.
You've been warned. Now, here's your host, Scott Wetzel.
And welcome to the Scott Wetzel Show, right here on FanStream Sports on a fabulous Football Friday. How are you, LLs, LWs? Yours truly sitting in for the next 2 hours, taking you right up until 4 p.m. Eastern Time, as we always do, Monday through Friday, right here again on FanStreamSports.com. What are we going to talk about today? Yes. You want to send a tweet first off. Send it to @OppositePicks. That's OPPOSITE Picks. P-I-C-K-S. Email me. Go to the website, OppositePicks.com. Hit the contact Scott icon. Fire away. SW-OppositePicks@Yahoo.com. Watching us on our YouTube channel, Scott Wetzel Show. Make sure you hit that like, subscribe button. And you can send some comments along the way. We'll look at those as well over the next 2 hours. The good, the bad, and the ugly of the NFL, that is for sure. College football, not a whole slate of games, but we got some this weekend. So we got college football trends to pass along. Bad lawsuits dominate the NCAA. Tony Romo says, my bad. Police say Josh Jacobs is the bad guy. Bad news for Winnipeg Jet fans. And the boys in Vegas picks. Nice little 2-1 last night. And we got Marc Lawrence coming up. Speaking of the boys in Vegas, giving us some winners at 3 o'clock Eastern time. So plenty to get to. We got WNBA. We got the golf story that won't go away. U.S. Open, it's officially underway, but the main, stuff starts today and this weekend. And you got preseason football, more of that later on tonight. Really a great slate of Major League Baseball. I don't think maybe it was, who knows with Major League Baseball, but I don't think that the matchups we have this weekend were set up by accidents. I think they realized this was the last weekend without the NFL for the most part, and this is just like, all right, our last chance to have that one big home run. College football dominates next week, and then the following week is really the first weekend. Used to be the last weekend of the preseason, then you'd had the NFL the next season. But the NFL, in its infinite wisdom, said, no, you know what, we're going to give you one more week off, and then we'll, give it like a week and a half to 2 weeks, depending on how you view this, first games on Wednesdays and Thursdays like we have now. So next week it doesn't start. It's still the following week. It's like, man, you just can't wait for the NFL season to get here. It's like, it's coming, right? Last week of the, the preseason is like, yeah, we still got 2 more weeks. But we got college football this weekend. Like I said, 7, 8, 9 games, whatever it is. Big slate next weekend. We got some college football trends to get to. And like I said, a nice slate of Major League Baseball. So a lot to get to. Let's hop right in it. We'll start with a little preseason football. We got the good, the bad, and the ugly, right? We'll start with the good. And we don't do that too often. So Cleveland beats the New England Patriots 37-13. What's so necessarily good about that? Nothing really, except that Dylan Gabriel, the forgotten guy with the Cleveland Browns crazy quarterback situation. Everyone talked about Deshaun Watson and obviously Shedeur Sanders. But don't forget, as I pointed out, Dylan Gabriel was drafted in the 3rd round. Sanders was drafted in the 5th round. A 3rd round pick for a quarterback is not, 1st round, obviously. But you're also not, throwing away a little flyer. 5th, 6th, 7th round pick. Yeah, why not? 3rd round pick, because you got to like the dude. Right? And yet this guy's the forgotten guy with the Cleveland Browns. So what does he do? All the talk, who's going to start? Sanders, Watson. So he doesn't really get a chance to play too much in the preseason. I think last night was his first, I know it was his first start. He may have played a little bit somewhere along the line, but For the most part, this was his first opportunity to really, play with some decent players, not a bunch of fourth and fifth stringers, guys that are going to get cut. And what does he do? He goes 12 of 15 for 186 yards and 3 touchdowns. He looks great. I mean, he basically led him on near all their points. Taylor Green came in and led him on one scoring drive, but he looked terrific. So now you got another little wrinkle in the mix. And it's funny, as I was, checking the internet, and I tell you, I like watching some of these post-game press conferences and everything else, and I saw this clip of head coach Todd Monken, who we played, numerous times here, right? And I really thought it was an old clip of him talking about Deshaun Watson. Envision him thinking Deshaun Watson and what we've heard from him so far.
That's great for him. I mean, I know it's been hard. I mean, let's be real about it.
Deshaun, sure,
he's a prideful guy. He's had a lot of success in his career.
He has.
And all he does is prepare. That's all he does. He comes to work every day, prepares like a pro. You can see he can really operate. I mean, he gets it. He gets what we want to do. He has a certain confidence about him when he takes the field.
Watson,
and I'm fired up. We had a chance to meet a little bit before the game and talk about the things he wanted to get called, what he felt comfortable with.
Well, wait a minute. Watson's not playing.
It's like having a coach. He's easy to kind of explain, like, hey, this is what I like, this is what I don't like. Like I always say, we don't need more plays. We need plays that you feel really comfortable with. So really happy for him.
So I'm thinking the whole time he's talking about Deshaun Watson, right? Because we've heard all those things about Watson. And in the end, he's actually talking about Dylan Gabriel. And I'm like, this guy seems like he loves Gabriel. It almost seems like that this is actually his guy. Oh, he's a coach on the field, and he knows what he's doing, comes to practice, head down, gung-ho, blah, 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 blah. All the coaching rhetoric that you normally get, right? But this guy seems sincere. And like I said, it's funny. I'm watching this, and I'm thinking he's talking about, Watson, because I've heard some of this rhetoric from him. And it's funny, when he says it about Watson, it does seem to be just coach's rhetoric. When he's talking legitimately about Dylan Gabriel, he seems like he loves the dude. So, maybe this is his guy deep down. And management, like we told you yesterday, according to RG3, is telling him, no, you can't start him. You can't start Sanders. You got to start Watson. I don't know. But all I do know is Gabriel looked good. Listen, you go for 186 yards against the New England Patriots. Now, I understand it's backups and all that other stuff, but it's still, a Mike Vrabel-led football team, and you throw for nearly 200 yards and 3 touchdowns. That's pretty darn good. I mean, that should at least put you in the conversation, right? I mean, are they going to carry 4 quarterbacks? They certainly can't dress 4 quarterbacks. A lot of teams only, there are some teams, not many, but there are some teams that will carry only 2 quarterbacks and think, okay, you know what, if we need a third somewhere along the line, then we'll go grab one. But, for the most part, teams keep 3. They put 1 or 2, whatever it happens to be, on the practice squad, and you go from there. And maybe they'll do that with but I don't think they'll do that with Dylan Gabriel the way that coach just sounded. I think they'll do that with Green, the rookie quarterback from Arkansas. So that was the good last night. Leave it to the Cleveland Browns to throw one more wrinkle into the equation as far as the quarterback situation. The bad. I don't know how they do it. God rest his soul, Dave Sherpan, right? My former partner over at Sports Grid, and he was a bookmaker, or I shouldn't say a book. He wasn't a bookie. He created lines and stuff. Worked over in Caraco. This guy's been through it all and back, right? And I always used to bust his chops. Dave, I mean, how do they know, Dave? How do they know? And he swears up and down, Scott, they don't know. They don't know. No one knows squat. Or that's one of his famous, or was sadly one of his famous sayings, right? So I bring that up because last night, I told you yesterday, right? One of our 3 picks was grabbing, or actually, no, I don't think it was one of our 3 picks. In fact, the one loser we had yesterday was the dopey LA Chargers. We hit you with the Washington Mystics, they won, and we hit you with the Atlanta Braves, they were a winner. So we did go 2-1. But I later put in, the Pittsburgh Steelers. Got a good tip. I was looking at Marc Lawrence's coffee club, and he gave a great stat about how teams that are shut out at home the next week in the preseason are like, a gazillion and 1 against the spread, right? All right, I got to play Pittsburgh then, and I'd actually already put all my bets in and everything, right? So I read that and I go, all right, let me delve back in. I'll hop on the computer again there, right? Open up my DraftKings or FanDuel book, and I put in the Pittsburgh Steelers. They were getting 1.5. The line had dropped. I'm like, fudge, right? So what happens, right? So I start looking at it. Pittsburgh getting 1.5 was minus 105. Pittsburgh on the money line was plus 120. And I'm like, man, that is a big swing from 1.5 at minus 105 to plus 120. That's a 25-point swing. That's pretty big. And, normally those things are correlated, but much like in horse racing, win, place, show, the actual money is separate. They're separate bets. So it's all, based on how much money a horse is being bet on to finish in third place versus second. That's how they determine the odds. It's not, okay, here's what he is to win the race at 5-1. So the place is going to be certain amount and then show is going to be a certain amount. No, they all have separate pools. So same thing with the money line pool for an NFL team or baseball team and a point spread. It is separate, even though it's very similar, right? Long story short is if I'm laying 1.5 at minus 105, or I'm grabbing plus 120 on the money line, I might as well take the Pittsburgh Steelers on the money line, right? I mean, that's like I said, if you're betting $100, right, you'd win 90 laying, or you'd win 120 if you bet Pittsburgh plus 120, $100, or you'd win 91 if you're laying, or if you're getting 1.5 minus 105. So it's actually a $25, $30 difference if you're a $100 player. That's pretty good. I figured, what are the chances? What are the chances of the Pittsburgh Steelers losing by 1? I mean, they're basically giving you a free, not a free bet, but why wouldn't you take the plus 120 money line? I mean, they're not going to lose by 1, right? Final. Do I even need to say it? Buffalo 28, Pittsburgh 27. They lose by 1. Son of a mother effing bitch, right? How did they know? Because what guy, there's no better out there. I'm sorry, there might be one or two that would lay 120 and rather than laying 1.5, there are guys that would do that swear by, listen, Scott, I'll win less money and not have to deal with winning by just 1 run. I get, or 1 point here. I get that, but this was the other way around. This was either you get 1.5 or you get plus 120. I'll take my chances they don't lose by 1 point, right? I'll take the plus 120. And they lost 28-27. Buffalo scores late. About a minute and change left. There's no overtime in the preseason anymore, so they went for 2. Naturally, they got to 2. Buffalo takes the lead. Pittsburgh does have a minute and change. They do absolutely nothing. Ball game ends 28-27. And I'm like, you got to be kidding me. If I just would have taken the 1.5 and not gotten greedy, I would have, won the bet and won some parlays and everything else. So how did they know? I don't know. All I do know is that 9 times out of 10, if I'm getting plus 1.5 minus 105, the money line isn't plus 120. It would normally be about 110. But again, the line dropped. Now that plus 120 makes sense if the line is close to 2.5 like it was. But as I told you to begin with, they're separate pools. So while the money line pool, necessarily didn't favor Pittsburgh that much, the point spread did. So the point spread comes down, the money line stays the same, and now you have this, decent sized spread of like, why take 1.5 when I can grab 100, plus 120? Coincidence? I'll say no. I mean, was it all scripted and planned out? No, I'm not saying the games are rigged. I'm just saying the boys in Vegas just somehow know. I don't know how. They know better than us. They can analyze these games better than us. Maybe is that it? I don't know, but I'm telling you, when I didn't watch the game, I watched the final drive, the final Pittsburgh drive, and then the final Buffalo Bills drive. And I tuned it on. My daughter came over. We were talking in the kitchen and actually had a family dinner for the first time in about 20 years. So I didn't watch much of it last night. I turned it on, and I'm seeing Pittsburgh's leading at 27-20. I'm like, okay, we're good. Yeah, there you go. We won. Good job taking that plus 120. And then I see the Bills go march down the field, and then I see their fifth-string quarterback score a touchdown, Steve Buechele, and then I see them get the 2-point conversion, wide open, wide receiver right in the flat, nobody near him. I'm like, you got to be kidding me, man. You just, wow. We're in preseason, and the aggravation, the bad beats have already stockpiled. With the bad beats. That's as bad as it gets. It really does. Knowing what you could have had, right? The ugly, that's not the ugly. The real ugly, I suppose, is Fernando Mendoza in the LA Raiders who lost to San Francisco. I'm not going to say he stinks, right? Because that's not fair. We give him fair. He's got to get at least 1 year playing before you just label a guy he sucks. So I'm not going to say that, but he's not looked good this preseason. Last night, 7 of 14 for 57 yards, which is nothing. That's less than 9 yards a reception, right? Right around 8 yards of reception. He had a passer rating of 31. 31. By comparison, Dylan Gabriel had a passing rating of close to 160. And this guy had a passer rating of 31. He was sacked a couple of times, pressured many other. He looked lost. There's certain performances you can look at and say, all right, no big deal, blah, 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 blah. And then there are others where you just say, man, he didn't look comfortable. You can be lousy, statistically you can be lousy, but still kind of know what you're doing and just, you get a sense of like, all right, these wide receivers are not getting open and this offensive line is giving him no shot whatsoever. And while he was under pressure, admittedly, but he hasn't looked good. When I've seen him, this is one of the later games, so I watched a little bit more than this. I was on a computer at that point. When I've seen him play the couple times this year, he really, you can see he's got some talent. Not throwing him out with the dirty dishwater, but there's no way in the world that guy can be starting. No way. And the dopey head coach Clint Kubiak won't name a starter. Like the whole world knows it's going to be Kirk Cousins. So I don't know what secret he thinks he's keeping. But if he thinks really that people are going to go into a game against the Raiders, and the Dolphins play them first game, right? So we'll use our beloved Dolphins. If you think the Dolphins are worried about who's going to start, whether it's going to be Fernando Mendoza or 90-year-old Kirk Cousins who can't move, it doesn't matter. I just don't believe it does. I want to have a defensive coordinator tell me, oh, yeah, I stay up at night not knowing who the starting quarterback's going to be. Their offense is going to be so different, and we're not going to know what to do. Come on. It's 11 on 11. You either run or you pass. There's not like there's a third option with another quarterback. Yes, could the quarterback run? But that's part of running the ball. That's part of scrambling. Every quarterback now in the NFL can scramble some. So if this guy is so worried, if he's so anal, and if he's so bought into just stupid head coaching rhetoric like this in his first head coaching job, when he's got something so obvious, hell, if he wants to be that tricky about it, then tell the world Mendoza's starting, right? And pull Mendoza and Cousins aside and say, listen, we're going to tell the world you're starting, but you know what? You're not. Well, why are you going to do that, Coach? Well, because we want to screw up the Miami Dolphins. We want to screw up the NFL. We think it's such a big deal that we're really going to go gung-ho on this, and we're going to tell them the wrong guy is starting. Or we'll let you start for one play. There was who was it? It was Russell Wilson and the Pittsburgh Steelers 2 years ago. That's why you got to be careful with these things. There was a goofy bet who was going to be the starting quarterback for the Pittsburgh Steelers. That's when they had Russell. They had, what's his face there, the former Chicago Bears, a quarterback who sucks. And then there was one more guy. I forget who the third guy was. And it all looked like it was going to be Russell, or looked like it was going to be that third guy. Who am I forgetting? And what happened was Russell started one play. He actually had the first play from scrimmage, and then he didn't play the rest of the game. So be careful with some of those goofy bets on who's going to be your starting quarterback, because you could lose a bet like you did there, even though you had the right guy. But anyway, he hasn't looked good. He hasn't looked good this preseason, and didn't look good last night, throwing for only 57 yards. And you lose to a San Francisco team that really rested all their starters. They don't play their starters. They weren't trying for the most part. So that was ugly. We got a bunch more later on tonight. We got 2 on Saturday, including Tennessee getting set to host the Chicago Bears Saturday night. Second straight week. This is really weird that the Tennessee Titans, this was arguably the worst team in the NFL, this side of the Raiders last year. And the Tennessee Titans, for the second straight week, remember they played Seattle last week on the Sunday night. Now they're playing Chicago. There's only 2 games, and this is the late game, or the later of the 2. Maybe they just want to, get them out of the way and say, listen, you know what? You're not going to be in prime time anytime during the regular season, and they're not. So we'll give you the last spot on week number 2 and week number 3 of the preseason. NFL doesn't do things by accident or that's just coincidental. Nah, that's not the NFL. NFL isn't the NFL because they got through doing things coincidentally. They got through doing things on purpose. So I don't, like I said, maybe that's the purpose. It's just, we're not going to highlight you ever again. So enjoy it while you have it in the preseason. So they asked Cam Ward, good job by this reporter. They asked Cam Ward yesterday about, how do you think your preseason has gone? This was actually pretty fun.
How would Cam Ward assess the way Cam Ward has played so far this preseason?
How would you assess it?
Not well.
You don't think so?
I don't.
Not well.
I'm glad you don't think so. That's good.
How would you assess it?
Good to fire back.
I assess it as, did we win the game or did we lose the game? I assess it as what I can get better at. I don't assess it as someone who can get up there and, operate when everything's on. It's a different process level. So it's more of, slowing down the game to everybody. And I believe we made a huge jump from week 1 to week 2 because we're getting more condensed in the playbook. We're not really opening everything up. And, when we come to week 1, I think it will be a different story.
All right. That was a good back and forth. I give the host or the reporter their credit for asking a tough question. And then, as a lot of players do, they throw it back into the reporter's face, even though it doesn't matter what we think. It's what you think, right? That's why we're asking you. And the reporter had enough courage, conviction to say, well, yeah, but again, back to you. What do you think, right? And I thought Ward, and I'm telling you, I'm a fan of Ward. I thought he handled it fairly well as well. Listen, they are 2-0 if you want to go by that stretch, but has he played well? No, he has not. He's not looked good at all. He just hasn't. They're 2-0 as a byproduct of playing 2 teams that just didn't want to play, in the preseason as you get. I don't know how it's going to be any different versus Chicago, but they are 2-0. So if that's what the silver lining for Cam Ward, okay, great, baby steps. But again, another quarterback situation where it doesn't look good. I root for him. I really do. I hate to put the black cloud on him, but I do love that under 6.5. I think their defense is going to be halfway decent, but their offense just doesn't look good. It just doesn't. So, but like I said, played that just to give Ward a little credit for handling that situation. These guys, they've been out of college a couple of years. You don't get this scrutiny in college. You don't have to. A lot of teams don't allow their players to talk to the media. And if they do, it's 1, 2, 3 guys, and the media, for the most part, are kiss-ass medias. Now, he was down in Miami his last year, but he was in Washington State. How many people are covering Washington State Cougar football, right? 3 at most, right? And one is the local newspaper. The other one is the college, newspaper. And then you might get a third one. So, and then maybe in Miami, same thing. you don't get the all the eyeballs being thrown at you, and sometimes it takes a little while to to adjust to that. So I give him credit. He did a pretty good job, and we'll see Saturday night if he's any better. But to me, it hasn't looked good. It just hasn't. NFL announced that we got HBO Hard Knocks off-season returning. Giant fans know the last time they had an HBO Hard Knocks off-season before. They have the in-season ones. It grew to fame with all the preseason ones, right? So a couple of years ago, they tried one before the season, more like off-season stuff, before training camp, right? That was the year when the Giants were going back and forth on Saquon Barkley. And that was the year that they caught the owner and the GM, Joe Shane, going back and forth on whether they're going to pay Saquon. And then the owner came in and said, man, he better not be going to the Philadelphia Eagles. And Shane's like, no, he won't. And lo and behold, he did. So that was kind of thrown, pie in the face of the New York Giants. I could see, out of all the ones, I could see this would be the one where, you want to go in training camp, watch some guys practice and stuff, and we got to make cuts. Yeah, all right, that's part of the business, no big deal. Just stay out of our way. We're not really implementing that many crazy things, In season, I could see that being a pain in the ass. But even more so this off season where, you got to come up with storylines. It's not just, okay, roll film. HBO doesn't want to just do that. They want to come up with some storylines. So they're going in your meetings. They're listening to you talk about the draft, who you like, who you don't like. Same thing, evaluating players. What positions do you need help with? And that's a lot of inside scoop. Great for the fan, but I could see organizations really not liking this at all. I mean, how much money are they making? At the end, the NHL or the NFL is just so. It's the proverbial, how much is enough, man? I mean, how much could HBO be paying them? $1 million, $2 million, right? You spread that out. I'm sure all the teams share. I guess the team that's, doing it probably gets a little bit more, but, 32 teams, even if they were giving them $5 million, right? What is that? 32 teams, couple $100,000 a team, maybe the team that's being, hosted is really getting like half of that maybe, or at least a third of it, I would think, a quarter of it. Is it really worth it? There can't be an organization out there that raises their hand and say, yes, we want to do this. But I'm surprised they do. I think, like I said, fans like it. I like it. I haven't watched Seattle's this year. I am kind of bored with the training camp one. It is what it is. I've seen it 1,000 times. You pick one or two players. You grab them as your storyline. One's always a Cinderella guy. The other one is always an old vet, and you just been there, done that 1,000 times. So I like the in-season ones a little bit more. I watch those quite a bit, and I would watch this one, but that would be tough. It really would. So we got more preseason games later on tonight as they wrap up the preseason today, and then, like I said, tomorrow we got 2 games. On the schedule. Most of these teams, I haven't been able to find a team that says they're really going to play their guys. A lot of it is still secretive for some. You have some, what would be good storylines if, in fact, everybody was playing, but they're not. You got Miami hosting Atlanta Falcons. Ooh, Tua Tags coming back to Miami. Are they going to boo him? How's that going to be? Well, that is all the case. He's not playing, though. So Penix won't start. Cooper Rush and then Jack Strand are supposed to play. We will see if Tua gets any playing time, but from what I read, it doesn't look like it. Although I did write a note there. Stefanski, Atlanta starters will play against Miami. All the others will. So we'll see about Tua. So that'll be, if then Tua starts. You talk about, we did this last week with Rafi Devers in San Francisco with the Red Sox. I would be shocked beyond belief if Tua got cheered. Now, there's probably only going to be about 15,000 people there, right? If that, right? But there's no doubt in my mind he's going to get booed. If he's actually, starting or when he comes into the game. Absolutely. Nothing against him. He didn't do anything, against the organization. It wasn't like a Rafi Devers thing, or he wanted out, or he just stunk. That's all. He was just awful for the last couple of years. I think they did like him originally. He had a couple of decent seasons, but last couple, and it was so bad last year. Yeah, he's definitely going to get booed. You got Houston and Carolina. Dave Canales, head coach of Carolina, says his guys won't start. Giants and John Harbaugh, aren't saying. Jets aren't playing anybody. Not that they have anybody to play, to tell you the truth. But Seattle, Kansas City, no Patrick Mahomes. Garrett Nussmeier, the LSU quarterback, is going to start instead. Cincinnati starters won't play. Philadelphia starters won't play. Minnesota's hoping to start J.J. McCarthy, but he has an ankle injury, so I'm guessing he's not going to play. And Denver in that same game, Bo Nix not supposed to play either. So it's really these games are tough. They are, because you got third and fourth stringers, and so it's hard to really it's hard enough to evaluate the would-be starters versus the backups. So. But you got college football anyway. But we'll throw a couple of plays out, before everything is said, and then we'll see if Mark has any good thoughts on some of these games. College football, though, it does start this weekend. I'll have some trends coming up here in a little bit. We got some more baseball stuff to get to. Really, like I said, a real good weekend. We got Josh Jacobs. I want to talk about that, and nice pitcher performance by Chris Sale, and a reason, several of them, on why the LA Dodgers, as I've been telling you, I got more ammunition on why the Dodgers are not, by any stretch, a lock. These numbers are going to really alarm you with the LA Dodgers, who got blanked 1-0 by Chris Sale and the Atlanta Braves yesterday. We will get to that when we come back. Hour number one, we got Marc Lawrence coming up in about a half hour as well. So hour number one in the bag here, in the works, right here on the Scott Wetzel Show on FanStreamSports.com.
Hi, golfers. IndyCar Tim here. I want to talk to you a little bit about Golf Central Magazine. It's not just a golf magazine. It's the magazine for everything: turf, travel, philanthropy, and lifestyle. Head over to golfcentralmag.com and check out the latest issue. Some of the regular features in Golf Central Magazine: the Golf Bachelorette of the Month, the Golf Bachelor of the Month, the Golf Cart Girl of the Month, Golf History, Grip It and Sip It. So head over to golfcentralmag.com. It's free. It's the magazine for everything: turf, travel, philanthropy, and lifestyle. Golf Central Magazine at golfcentralmag.com. We'll see you there.
Sports fans, it's time to gear up. Head to fanstreamsports.com and check out our brand new merchandise store. We're talking bold t-shirts, 3/4 zips, hoodies, hats, mugs, and more. Everything you need to rep your favorite shows and your favorite crew. Whether you're rolling with the J.P. Peterson Show in Tampa Bay, From the Rough in Dallas, the Tim May Show featuring Clay Hall, or the Jeff Thidoff Show in Ohio, or any of our FanStream Sports original programming, we've got the perfect look for game day and every day. So don't wait. fanstreamsports.com. Click merch and grab your gear now. Wear the stream, live the stream. FanStreamSports.com.
Hey folks, let me tell you about Bay Area Modern Medical Center, a very different kind of approach to primary care. Personalized preventative medicine, not a one-pill-fits-all mentality. Christopher Lugo and his experienced medical staff are proactive in looking at issues before they become a problem, encouraging a healthy lifestyle with proper diet, supplements, and exercise to optimize your active lifestyle. Rather than the impersonal, rushed approach, you will be the only patient and will have our full attention. That's new. Getting old is inevitable, but feeling and looking old is avoidable. Bay Area Modern Medical Centers are experts in anti-aging regenerative medicine that optimizes your body's performance in many areas. So call for an appointment to get started on a journey back to full health and a happy life with a new, modern way of healthcare. Call 844-977-3477 or go to BAMMC.com. That's 844-977-3477 or BAMMC.com.
Today's show is brought to you by Tomstown, a premier craft distillery based in Kansas City, Missouri. Discover their award-winning lineup, including double oaked bourbon, botanical gin, and double grain vodka, named the best craft vodka by the readers of USA Today. Available for online delivery in 40 states. Visit toms-town.com or their Kansas City distillery to explore more. Elevate your game with Tomstown, where history meets innovation. Please enjoy responsibly. Orion Golf Management Solutions. Orion Management Solutions has tailored its service packages just like it tailors its approach to customers. Some owners need more supervision, while others need periodic assessment of their short-term and long-term strategies and programs. Orion can be called in to develop a business plan with the existing staff, or we can assist with the daily management of a facility or event. Either way, we make sure the client is satisfied and understands the direction the facility needs to go in order to achieve the owner's goals. Orion Management Solutions can help with owner assistance service solutions, daily course management, business plan development, monthly operations, or as-needed consulting services. Whatever your need, Orion Golf Management Solutions can help. Check out oriongolf.com.
Let's go!
Right now, back to the show on FanStream Sports.
Hey, welcome back. It is the Scott Wetzel Show right here on a fabulous Friday. FanStreamSports.com, FanStreamSports.com. Busy Friday. We got more NFL stuff to get to. We have maybe the craziest play in college football history to go over. A little bit of golf stuff that won't go away. WNBA, as we got Enos challenging Megan Rapinoe of all people. A great, we'll leave you with this as well. So, and we got our college football over-unders. We touched on these a little bit last week. I whittled it down. I'm going to give you 5 that just can't lose. Just can't lose. Famous last words, right? So, speaking of lose, maybe loser or losing, that's the Green Bay Packers running back Josh Jacobs in the news yesterday. So, details released on his recent arrest. Woman identified as Jacob's girlfriend. By the way, do some YouTube chat. We'll check these out as well on the Scott Wetzel Show. Hit that like and subscribe button, and we'll hear those in a minute or two. So, a woman identified as his girlfriend, no less, said that she'd been looking through Jacob's phone. First sentence in the story, and right away I'm thinking, all right, BITCH, right? You're asking for you're going to go through someone's phone. My wife doesn't go through my phone. We have some, kind of unwritten rules in the household. Not that I'm hiding anything, but it's just like, what are you doing, right? And she's got a secret password, the 4-digit password for her phone. Do I know what it is? No, God forbid I ever should need to get into her phone. I couldn't do it, Although knowing my wife, it's probably 1, 2, 3, 4. So, but there's certain things you just don't do in a relationship, and someone's phone is. I don't know what it is. You guys all know, you guys. It's just, that's me. That's mine. That's like looking at my diary, right? So strike number 1 for her, and I'm going to stay objective about this, looking through the boyfriend's phone. Not the husband's phone, even the boyfriend, right? Then she became upset and threw his phone at him. Okay, there's strike number 2. She then said, well, you can look at my phone if you want to. And told him to call a car to bring her back to Chicago because she wasn't going to be driven back by him, I guess. So I guess he took the phone. I remember I did that with an old girlfriend's parents one time. Long story, right? So I go to her house to pick up some of my things. She's not there. I don't really believe them, but whatever. And the parents say, well, go look, right? So what did I do? I went upstairs and looked. The look on their face, I remember that. Like, they did not expect me to do that. But I said, all right, you want me to look? I'll look. What do I care, right? I'm 16, 17, 18 years old, whatever I was, right? So I'm probably the same thing here, right? She said, go look through mine. So he said, all right, then give it to me, right? So then she wanted her phone back, she says, and there was a struggle. He wouldn't give the phone back, strike on him, right? He grabbed her arm and began a physical struggle, according to the reports. That lasted several minutes. The complaint said that the woman was trying to leave his garage when he grabbed her, threw her to the ground, and she struck her head, suffering an injury. So obviously he's at fault for some of this stuff, if this story is actually true. Police reviewed the evidence, and they did see, some marks on her. So, a certain point of this has to be true. Bottom line is Jacob's lawyers, though, fired back, saying that the local district attorney reviewed the evidence and only elected to file misdemeanor charges. So nothing crazy charges. That did not include domestic violence, which I'm not sure how that, how they decided on that. I really don't. If she's got bruises and everything else. And apparently there was a camera in the garage, not in the house, which is kind of weird, that would show what really happened. So Anyway, they said, Jacobs people, typical stuff, allegations will be addressed in the court, not in the media. So there are the accusations anyway. Bottom line is he probably did something, and for our purposes, the NFL's purposes, the fans' purposes, he's looking at a suspension. He just is. If he gets arrested, well, he did get arrested. When you get arrested and there's an investigation and there are charges and it's involved in a woman, I don't think it matters that no major charges, only misdemeanor charges. We're finding out with this goofy golf stuff, right? It doesn't matter what you do. Hell, that was a joke. And they're losing millions of dollars in contracts and sponsorships and everything else. So NFL has a fine way of burying this stuff. It really does. But I wouldn't be going all in on the Green Bay Packers, win totals anyway, if he's going to miss 4, maybe 6 games. But he's probably going to miss something. But again, the NFL, they could drag their feet on this and really not issue this until next year, to tell you the truth. Tony Romo, meanwhile, in the news, issued 3 new citations yesterday from his July arrest. Unsafe passing on the right, first offense OWI, and then possessing open, beer cans or liquor, whatever he had in the car. But again, I'd like to know, open does not mean necessarily anyway, like an open bottle of booze. All it means is that it's not sealed. So I can have an open bottle of whatever, Johnny Walker in my back seat, never opened. That's fine. I can have a couple of sips at my friend's house, whatever, put that same bottle in the same back seat, and that's driving around with an open, bottle. So if the seal is broken, then it's considered open. So, the image is the guy's driving around with some drinks and open bottles and everything else. That's probably not the case. But listen, bottom line is he got 3 citations. So his spokespeople, same kind of rhetoric. Tony accepts full responsibility, like he has no other option. I'd like to have someone say, no, I'm not taking responsibility for that. Well, you did it. Yeah, but I'm not taking responsibility. I'll let the neighbor take responsibility. There was no one else in the car. Let someone else in the car take responsibility. You were driving by yourself. Oh, well, the guy that was driving next to me, I'll blame him, right? So he takes full responsibility, has taken proactive steps to ensure that this is an isolated matter. They're working with local authorities, blah, 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 and talking, for our purposes, again, is he going to be on TV or not? And CBS has yet to say. That they're still investigating. They're still waiting for all the facts and everything. So much for being innocent until proven guilty in our world. It doesn't sound like he's going to be on TV. And I like Romo. I liked him even earlier on. In fact, I probably liked him better when he was calling out plays and stuff. I thought it was funny that, he could read plays from the booth, whether that's just research or him just being that smart, or the other guys can too, but they don't say anything. But this guy remember, he was calling out plays left and right before they took the snap. Boy, how much could he make, right? If he was a gambling man, and you know how they do in baseball, you could bet on whether the next pitch is going to be a strike or a ball. Could you imagine? I'm sure there's a site out there, I'm sure, that lets you bet on whether the next play is going to be a pass or a run. Man, the guy can make a fortune. Just a fortune, right? So anyway, it doesn't sound like CBS is going to put him on the air. And listen, I know he effed up. I get it. Not minimizing that at all. But, it's like I said with, Jed York of San Francisco. All right, you got one guy who's looking for a little nookie. Right? All right, the world's a safer place now. I'm not going to crucify the guy. Romo, he effed up. He's old enough to know. He's rich enough to know he shouldn't be driving. I don't know if he was drunk, or he's just goofy, combination of the two. He had all the outs. He's at a country club where he's beloved. He could have asked somebody for a drive. So really not minimizing it, but I'm also not going to kill the guy and make him lose his job over that. You want to suspend him for a game or two, maybe, but I don't even believe that. It's just, it's kind of weird. So, but it doesn't sound like CBS is going to have him, at least not this year. All right, a little baseball. Good weekend in baseball coming up. You got the Stankies and Red Sox. And I don't think, like I said earlier, I don't think this is coincidental. When you look at the series, and you realize, okay, NFL is still, in its pause before the season really begins. College football, you have some games, but nothing crazy, right? So I think Major League Baseball looked at the schedule and said, all right, this is the last weekend that we are going to have some, all the eyeballs on us, because for next week on, forget about it. You got a really good series, obviously Yanks and Red Sox. You have a really, what would have been a good series. Detroit, expected to be a really, really good team in the American League, and the Dodgers. You have, again, Houston and the Mets were supposed to be a really good team this year. That would have been a great, great series. You have the Padres and Devil Dogs. That turns out to be a good series. You have the what was the other couple there? Brewers and Rangers, two teams that we figured would be battling for playoff spots. Seattle and Toronto. That should have been a rematch of the American League Championship Series. That should have been a monster series this weekend. So you had monster series Seattle, Toronto, monster series Red Sox, Stankies, Mets, Astros really should have been a monster series. Dodgers, Tigers should have been a monster series. Padres, Devil Dogs, should have been a monster. It still is a pretty good series. So I don't, like I said, I don't think that was done by accident. I really don't. So Stankies lose last night, and one-time hero. He's like the who was the St. Louis Cardinal there? What's his face? Who hit the 3 home runs, right? Who now can't hit his way out of a paper bag. He's the American League version of him. Remember Lombard with his family in the stands, hits a home run in his Major League debut, first at bat. I remember the brother was making his debut down in AAA. The family had to decide where they were going to go. And this guy's been playing great, hitting 300 for the Stankies, this, that, and right? 3 weeks later now, he committed another error. 6 straight games. He's committed an error. He's played 20 games. He already has 7 errors. And again, first time since Chick Fuster, whoever the fudge that is, back in 1921, for a Yankee to commit an error in 6 straight games. And they've had some bad defensive players, but Chick Fuster, it's the longest streak since Mark Lewis. I remember him, Cleveland Indian, back in 1992, committed an error in 7 straight games. So, big swing. Stanks could have been 3 games up on Boston. Now the Red Sox, even if they take 2 out of the 3, now they're only a game back. So that gives them a little more of a leeway versus being 3 back and really needing to sweep. So that's big. And then, of course, our good buddy Nicky Totoro. Remember him? He used to play. He was an actor in Hill Street Blues, one of the detectives. He used to call the 3-letter network when I was hosting over there all the time. So he sends out videos, and they're generally pretty short on just, more times than not his angst with the New York Yankees. So he's after the 6th error from Lombard, he sent out another one last night. I'll play it for you.
This is why when you invest your heart and soul in this on a day-to-day basis, and you can't catch a ball, you can't move a runner over, you strike out, you do it on a day-to-day to watch this, and then you got to listen to the same shit. It's just beyond. Nothing ever changes. You get a glimmer of hope for a second, and then boom, you go right back to being who we are. I retire. I fucking retire.
Of course, he sent another clip out later on today, so he didn't retire for too long, right? So he's pretty good. He's not as crazy as the big fat guy, the Met fan, which is over the top stupid. Nicky is a little bit more lower key, not more passionate, because Frank is definitely passionate. But I enjoy his clips a little bit more, maybe because I hate the Yankees and he loves the Yankees. So he sends one of those out every single day. He's a good follow. He is. Yeah, he used to call the show all the time. Dodgers lose yesterday, 1-0 to Chris Sale. I told you about this Dodger team. Now, do I think ultimately they're going to win? No, I'll say no. I think if you had a bet Dodgers, and I'm sure sites have this, Dodgers to the field, I'll take the field. Forget the odds. You can always take something based on odds. Just Dodgers are the field. I'm taking the field. Who could beat them? As I told you, again, any team, especially Philadelphia, that has some lefties. Chris Sale, obviously a lefty. Goes the distance last night, strikes out 11, throws basically about 100 or so pitches, and the Braves win 1-0. One of our winners. Dodgers are now 57-34 against righties. 23 games over 500. Pretty good. Against lefties, 23-20. So they're 23 games over 500 against righties, only 3 over 500 against lefties. They're basically a 500 team. You get a team that can throw a bunch of left-handers at you. That's why if I was the Brewers, forget about Tariq Skubal. Give me a bunch of lefties. I'll go get a slew of lefties. That's what I want on the open market. Here's the other thing. These numbers are real. If that number doesn't shock you, how about this? Dodgers are now 1-5 against the Atlanta Braves. Just out of curiosity, and I knew that, right? Just out of curiosity, he said, I'm going to look them up against all the first-place teams. Right? You got 5 other first-place teams since the Dodgers, not playing themselves. So what do you think their record is against first-place teams? And that includes the American League when you got 2 dogs in first place, right? 1-5 against the Braves, losing record. 3-4 against the Milwaukee Brewers, losing record. 1-2 against the Chicago White Sox, losing record. They are 2-1 against Texas, which is in first place right now. And they're 2-1 against Seattle, too, so it doesn't really matter who, And they are 3-0 against Tampa Bay. Add it all up, they have a losing record against first place teams. 10-12. How about some other teams? Those are first place teams. That's a little unfair. All right. You know what? You're right. Maybe not necessarily unfair, but just out of curiosity, what are they against the other perceived best teams in baseball? Red Sox, Yankees, Phillies, Chicago Cubs, Arizona Diamondbacks, right? So I looked those up. 6-7 against Arizona, losing record. 2-4 Chicago Cubs, losing record. 0-3 against the Red Sox, losing record. They are 2-1 against the Stanks. They're 4-2 against the Phillies. But they're really making their hay against San Diego, who they just own. They've always, for whatever reason, just owned this team. They're 7-3. But even including, San Diego, which we have to be fair, they're still only 21-20 against the other playoff teams, the other really good teams. So that puts them at a combined 31-32 against the best teams in baseball. They're just not, they are not, they may end up winning it, right? I don't think they will. I really don't. I think someone's going to beat them. I get why they're certainly favored to win it all. But when you look at the odds and you see who else is, close to them, they shouldn't be this overwhelming favorite like they are to win the World Series. I'm checking FanDuel right now. FanDuel has them, and I'm sure the other sites as well. I just happen to have FanDuel up. Plus 170. The next team is the Stankies at 8-1. 8-1. I mean, that makes them a huge favorite. Brewers 8-1 as well. And they're just, if you're a 500 club, and honestly, they're not even that. They're 31-32 against the other best team. Now, what would the Braves be, and what would the Phillies be, and what would the Red Sox and Tampa Bay be? I don't know. Maybe they all fall in line like that. Maybe. I'd have to double check. But even if they did, it still puts the Dodgers in that same category. It doesn't separate the Dodgers. Like, I don't think those teams, hold on a second here. I don't think those teams are, I always forget to do my computer. I don't think those teams would be like 10 games under 500. So the Dodgers playing 500 baseball would make them so much better. I'm guessing all those teams. And really, I take a guess that those teams have a better record, to tell you the truth. I'll do it, and I'll have it for you on Monday. I'll do the other first-place teams. I'll do the Braves. I'll do the Brewers. I'll even do the Red Sox. I know the Red Sox have a great record against first-place teams for whatever reason. Lousy against last-place teams. But it's just, it's not like you would think it would be, with this Dodger team. They show a lot of flaws, a lot. Whether it's that record against left-handed pitchers or it's the record against good teams. 500. That's it. No big deal. It's just not. To me, it's not worth the plus 170. It just they should not. They should be realistically like 4-1, and have the Stankies and then Brewers maybe 6-1, maybe 7-1. I mean, the National League is wide open. I don't think there's any team that they really think, oh my God, we can't beat them. If you're the Braves, you're not afraid of the Dodgers. Why would you be? You're 5-1 against them. You're the Phillies. I don't think you're afraid of the Dodgers. Brewers. Whatever the case may be. So it's really just it's crazy how mediocre. I will say, to the Dodgers' credit, man, they just don't, and we know this betting wise, they do not lose to lousy teams. Their record against bad, like the worst teams of the world, the Colorado Rockies, are like phenomenal. And that's where they make their head. They beat the teams they're supposed to beat, and they go 500 against the rest of the teams. And they cross their fingers in the postseason. So our over-under win totals. Let's update those before we get to a break here. We got Marc Lawrence coming up here. Second half win totals. Remember, we put 11 teams in. Looking good for some. Need some help in others as it goes. Over 81.5 Red Sox. We need to go 9-20 the rest of the way. That's going to happen. We're going to win that one. White Sox need to go 13-16. Looking pretty good there. Brewers need to go 12-16. Looking pretty good there. So those three, I'm counting in the bag. The rest, so-so. Astros need to go 13-15. They're 67-67, so they're on pace. So I'll take that. Miami Marlins need to go 15-13. All right. They're 2 games over 500. Pretty good shot there. Phillies, because of that long 10-game win streak, they need to go 16-12. Still got some work to do, but that's doable for them. I'm okay with that one. Dodgers getting swept by the Braves really hurt. Really, really hurt us. They need now to go 21-7. That's probably not going to happen. As good as they are, that's probably not going to happen. Seattle, same thing. They stink. We put the black cloud on them, buying them to win the World Series. They need to go 19-9. Can't believe that team just cannot turn it on. I know the schedule, as we talked about, is pretty easy rest of the way, but still, 19-9 is a pretty good clip. So, but we're not out of it. 3 unders. Mets would need to go 12-16 to finish over their 71.5. Okay, they are playing better ball, but I don't, we got to, I could see 11-17 for this Mets team. Colorado needs to go 12-16. They're not doing that. So that should be a winner. And Atlanta, again, that Braves series with the Dodgers. Oh, it just killed us. That would really that hurt us twice. They only now need to go 13-15 the rest of the way. And they were struggling too. If they could have gotten swept, that really would have put us in a good spot. So we're in real good spots with the Red Sox, White Sox, Brewers. Pretty good spots with the Astros, Marlins, and Phillies. Tough spots with the Dodgers, Mariners. And in our unders, we're pretty good spots with Colorado. So with the Mets. And we need the Braves to go on a little bit of a losing streak here. So we're looking at like 7-4, realistically. That's not too bad. We're not too bad. We'll update this next Monday over the weekend. And as I said, I always like to give these bets out, and I always like to follow up on these things just to, let you know that we're just not throwing things out and not keeping track of them. So hopefully, realistically now, I was hoping to go 11-0, but 7-4 I think is doable. I'll take that. Not the greatest, but certainly not the worst in the world. So quick little break, 1 hour in the books. We got Marc Lawrence, playbooksports.com, joining us in just a couple of moments. We'll go over some college football things with him, some NFL as well. I got some more college football stuff. I got run down all the games. I'll give you all the trends for this weekend's games. And we got some more Boys in Vegas picks and a little hockey talk today with the Winnipeg Jets and Connor Hellebuck asking to be officially, we all knew it, but he officially sent it out there that he does want to get traded from the Winnipeg Jets. So we'll talk about that next hour as well. Marc Lawrence, playbooksports.com, coming up next. So keep it where it is, the Scott Wetzel Show right here on FanStream Sports.
Hi, golfers. IndyCar Tim here. I want to talk to you a little bit about Golf Central Magazine. It's not just a golf magazine. It's the magazine for everything. Turf, travel, philanthropy, and lifestyle. Head over to golfcentralmag.com and check out the latest issue. Some of the regular features in Golf Central Magazine: the Golf Bachelorette of the Month, the Golf Bachelor of the Month, the Golf Cart Girl of the Month, Golf History, Grip It and Sip It. So head over to golfcentralmag.com. It's free. It's the magazine for everything: turf, travel, philanthropy, and lifestyle. Golf Central Magazine at golfcentralmag.com. We'll see you there.
Sports fans, it's time to gear up. Head to fanstreamsports.com and check out our brand new merchandise store. We're talking bold t-shirts, 3/4 zips, hoodies, hats, mugs, and more. Everything you need to rep your favorite shows and your favorite crew. Whether you're rolling with the JP Peterson Show in Tampa Bay, From the Rough in Dallas, the Tim May Show featuring Clay Hall, or the Jeff Thidoff Show in Ohio, or any of our FanStream Sports original programming, we've got the perfect look for game day and every day. So don't wait. fanstreamsports.com. Click merch and grab your gear now. Wear the stream, live the stream, fanstreamsports.com.
Hey folks, let me tell you about Bay Area Modern Medical Center, a very different kind of approach to primary care. Personalized preventative medicine, not a one-pill-fits-all mentality. Christopher Lugo and his experienced medical staff are proactive in looking at issues before they become a problem, encouraging a healthy lifestyle with proper diet, supplements, and exercise to optimize your active lifestyle. Rather than the impersonal, rushed approach, you will be the only patient and will have our full attention. That's new. Getting old is inevitable, but feeling and looking old is avoidable. Bay Area Modern Medical Centers are experts in anti-aging regenerative medicine that optimizes your body's performance in many areas. So call for an appointment to get started on a journey back to full health and a happy life with a new, modern way of healthcare. Call 844-977-3477 or go to BAMMC.com. That's 844-977-3477 or BAMMC.com.
Today's show is brought to you by Tomstown, a premier craft distillery based in Kansas City, Missouri. Discover their award-winning lineup, including double oaked bourbon, botanical gin, and double grain vodka, named the best craft vodka by the readers of USA Today. Available for online delivery in 40 states. Visit toms-town.com or their Kansas City distillery to explore more. Elevate your game with Tomstown, where history meets innovation. Please enjoy responsibly. Orion Golf Management Solutions. Orion Management Solutions has tailored its service packages just like it tailors its approach to customers. Some owners need more supervision, while others need periodic assessment of their short-term and long-term strategies and programs. Orion can be called in to develop a business plan with the existing staff, or we can assist with the daily management of a facility or event. Either way, we make sure the client is satisfied and understands the direction the facility needs to go in order to achieve the owner's goals. Orion Management Solutions can help with owner assistance service solutions, daily course management, business plan development, monthly operations, or as-needed consulting services. Whatever your need, Orion Golf Management Solutions can help. Check out oriongolf.com.
Let's go! Right now, back to the show on FanStream Sports.
All right, welcome back. It is hour number 2 of our 2-hour extravaganza, as we always are, Monday through Friday, right here on FanStreamSports.com. Follow me on Twitter at OppositePicks. Email me, go to the website, OppositePicks.com. And then a little YouTube chat as well. We'll get to our YouTube comments, the Scott Wetzel Show on YouTube, as we have a bulk of our listeners and viewers there. So do appreciate that. Got a whole bunch of things still to get to hour number 2. Maybe the craziest college football play of all time. And Sophie Cunningham, and a little controversy with Sophie, believe it or not. We'll get into that as well. But first up, let's talk a little college football, little NFL with a good buddy, Marc Lawrence, PlaybookSports.com, joins us every single Friday at this time. What's going on, Mark? How are you? It's hopefully nice Friday. It's gorgeous by us. It's been lousy recently, but today it's been pretty nice here on Long Island. Oop. Got your sound?
Got himself muted.
You got yourself muted there, Mark. That's all right. Nope. Hold on a second. Technology is a bitch.
Yeah, it shows that he's muted in StreamYard here.
Yeah, it shows that you're muted in on our platform here. No problem. How many games we got? We got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 games on the schedule for Saturday. Only one late game, which I'm a little surprised with. Thought they would have had decent game, considering it's opening day, Memphis and UNLV. But all the others are all starting at 7:00 or earlier. So. All right, we'll try to hook up with Mark here in a second. But that does give me time to run down some of the trends. Right, first game on the board is North Carolina and TCU. That's the game that's played over in Dublin, Ireland. We all know last year, Bill Belichick's first year, and 4-8. Nothing. I mean, between the girlfriend on the sidelines, who's suspiciously in the background now, but between the girlfriend on the sidelines, Belichick's first year, Michael Lombardi being let go. I mean, it was a colossal disaster. It just was, right? So, but they bring in Bobby Petrino as their new offensive coordinator. Right? They only average 19, less than 20 points a game, which in college is not obviously good. Bill brought in 60 new players and hopefully, a new attitude and a new, better performances. So, Mark, you there?
Yes, I am, Scott. How are you doing?
There you go. Hey, good, Mark. How you doing on this Friday?
Other than being a technical wizard, I'm doing really well. Thank you.
Listen, join the crowd. Us old folks here. It's just it's not good. I'm hanging on. I'm barely hanging on with all this technology, Mark. So
I get it. I do a lot of StreamYard stuff, and it's just absence of mind is all it is, Scott.
Yeah, no problem. No problem. I expect that. So, let's talk a little college football here. So we have our first weekend. What do we get? 8, 9 games here. I don't know if there's necessarily a blockbuster one, but as you know, you don't need to have a blockbuster to win money with the boys in Vegas, right? They pay off in green, just like for North Carolina and TCU, as they do for Notre Dame versus Michigan. So, your thoughts just entering the college football season, all set, all mentally prepared, and you've been down this road many, many, many times, right? You've been doing this a long time, right?
I've been doing this a long, long time, Scott. I'll just say this: greater than 40 years. How's that? Greater than 40 years.
That's good. That's a good way of putting it.
But if I've learned, go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, go ahead.
I say if I've learned anything over the course of those years, it's very, very vital to be patient in the first week of the college football season here. Everybody wants to jump in the water. You don't know how deep the water is. You don't know how these teams have changed complexions, especially in the age we live today, with the transfer portal, the NIL, everything and so forth and whatnot. I'm ultra conservative the first week of the college football season here. If I make a play or two, that will be probably a play or two that I should not make, is what I'm saying.
Yeah. Do you remember, just go back to heyday, you're not necessarily, maybe you're not first bet, but what got you into the gambling scene?
Well, kind of going backwards here a little bit. When I was a kid in high school, my father was an auto mechanic, and I used to, after school, go there and clean the parts and do the tools, and he would go over to the beer joint across the street. Well, the lady who owned the beer joint was a bookmaker. And at the time, the Triple Crown was running, and there was a horse called Silky Sullivan, and I loved the horse. And I asked her deeply, let me bet on this horse. Let me bet on this horse. Scott, I'm making $10 a week doing that.
Right.
I bet the $10 on Silky Sullivan, and he's still running. Okay. I said to myself, what on God's green earth did you do? You have to know what you're doing. Just don't dump in the water on a hunch. And that's when it got me started. That and the fact that in high school, I never had to really study. I kind of had a photographic memory, and I would always read the gold sheet during study hall. Sure. And reading the gold sheet kind of really pushed me towards this way, because I loved history, I loved math, I love music too, but it all goes together: history and math and sports handicapping.
Wow, that's pretty cool. I'll give you mine real quickly since we're chatting, right? Mine was as a little kid. My dad was a big conspiracy guy, Mark. Everything was fixed, everything was rigged, right? The whole right. I'm like, Dad, come on. So Alabama was playing Illinois, if you remember. I think it was the Liberty Bowl. Last game for Coach Bear Bryant for Alabama.
Okay,
right? And my dad's like, they were like 5.5 or 6.5 point favorites. And my dad, this is rigged. They're not going to let him lose in his last game. It's rigged. It's rigged. It's rigged. We got to call up our local Louis DeLip and bet Alabama. And I said, listen, Dad. I said, all right, you know what? Let's just say it's rigged, right? They're not going to rig it so even back then when I was like 6, 7, whatever I was, I said, they're not going to rig it so Alabama covers the spread. But maybe they win, but they're not going to cover the spread. Let's bet Illinois, right? And he's like, So we call up the local Louis DeLip. We bet Illinois. The guy says we were the only people out of all his clients, and he probably bet 100 clients, we were the only ones that bet Illinois. And if you remember right, Alabama did win. I think it was like 17-13, but they didn't cover the spread. So
he was waiting for your call, Scott. He was waiting for your call.
Exactly. Just balance the books, please. Yeah. Put it in twice, 3 times as much.
That's a great story. It also goes to being contrarian in handicapping.
Yeah.
And the people that are successful are largely contrarian. You're not following the public. You're not following the square moves. You're looking for value. And you had a lot of that in that Alabama-Illinois game. Very, very contrarian play.
Yeah, definitely. All right, we got TCU. Speaking of TCU, North Carolina, that's one of the games on the board that opens up the season for all intents and purposes. The line side opened up at maybe 5.5, 6.5 mark. I've seen it go up to as high as 9.5, kind of settle back into the 8.5 range. What do you like in this one, if anything?
Well, I think what the key factor here may be, we're going to find out what Bobby Petrino's all about, the hiring of him, because North Carolina needed infusion of offense like a vampire needs blood. They brought him in, not the best personality, not the best person as a human being, but they needed a spark. North Carolina did. I think Bill Belichick's going to learn, hopefully, what he didn't do last year and correct his ways and means and all that stuff. I'm not going to bet him until he proves to me that he can coach again or coach teams that can win football games again. But don't be surprised if they don't put up a little bit of an offensive spurt in this football game here to justify the hiring of Bobby Petrino.
All right. How about the one I'm really looking forward to? There's actually a couple. I shouldn't say that. But one of them, North Carolina State and Virginia. Game was supposed to be played in Brazil. But the organizers, screwed that up. So now it's back to being in Virginia. So it's a home game for the Cavaliers. 2 really good teams. I think 2 teams that have a chance. The winner of this one really, I think, has a decent chance of maybe causing some noise in the ACC and maybe even nationally getting into the college football playoff.
I like NC State real well this year, Scott. You take a look at what they did last year. They closed like a freight train, and they were so totally under the radar, that football team was. Real good head coach there. Never, ever hardly gets out-coached. This is a big conference game to open the football season here. That's huge as well. Virginia, maybe you can say arguably overplayed a little bit last year, came out of nowhere, to double-digit win season here. I think this is a North Carolina State football game where they stay in it ugly, they pull the upset, they leave with the win.
All right. I like that. In fact, I saw that line drop down to like 4.5, and that was close to 5.5, 6.5. So the money's on our side. How about I am curious for this game, believe it or not, if anything else, just to see what North Dakota State can do with this new FCS level. We've seen teams have some success. The James Madisons, Liberty, if you remember way back when. We've seen some teams falter, but they're making the big boy jump up. They're hosting Jacksonville State. Moment of truth, if you will, for North Dakota State. They're laying a touchdown, so even though they are at home. So that's a pretty fat number. But North Dakota State and Jacksonville State, anything on that?
Well, this is the game, obviously, the Bison have been waiting for a long, long time. When you step into the league with the big boys, they've won 27 straight home openers, has North Dakota State. You don't see them losing this football game. The question is, can they stay over the number in this contest here? I wouldn't want to be taking the points in a game like this because they're both going to be geeked. But, North Dakota State's going to be geeked to the max in this football game. I would only look at them in this football contest.
Yeah. Do you look to see, these goofy games like this? And I am, like I said, Mark, I'm curious to see if they can compete at this level, but I think they can. I think those, I'll call them 1AA. I'm old school, right? Those 1AA, the good ones, they're not that far off from the Jacksonville States of the world, right?
No, not the good 1AA schools are not.
Right.
No. there's a fine line that separates them, and the only one is the invite that the school's got to be an FBS team and not stay as a FCS team or a Division II type football team. Very, very fine line, as you say.
Yeah. What are you looking forward to for the college football season? Any teams that you just are curious about, or you think are so really good they should be a little bit more of an overwhelming favorite than what they are right now? Anything along those lines?
I'm a little bit surprised that Texas is not getting as much love as I thought they would be this football season here. They spend more money than any team in college football this year to put that football team together. You always follow the money in situations like this today, Scott. The teams that spend the money have the good players.
Yeah.
And I think I pointed this out in our coffee club this week that I think it was coffee club that from November on out last year, Arch Manning had the highest rated QBR of all college football quarterbacks last year. People want to diss him for the season that he had, but he really closed like gangbuster from November on out. I think they're the football team to beat in the Big 12 conference, and I have them playing in the championship game as well.
Wow. Okay. Against who? Can you say?
Ohio State. Look, that's my alma mater.
Okay.
But you don't ever fall in love with your team, your home team, your state, your school, or anything like that. It's simply the pure, simple fact of the matter is nobody plays a better brand of defense than Ohio State does because he brings in all the elite talent defensively. Just look at the numbers that he's put up here the last 3 years. They're stonewall defenses, and everybody comes after them, and they keep shooing the people away. They haven't won a Big Ten championship. I think it's been 3 or 4 years now. They make it to the playoffs, but that's their goal this year is to win the Big Ten championship. I see them doing that and playing Texas for the marbles this year in the FBS championship game.
Speaking of your teams, nice job by Dylan Gabriel last night in the Cleveland Browns, right? Everyone's talking to Deshaun Watson and Shedeur Sanders. And then here's the Dylan Gabriel, who, as I pointed out before you came on the air, Mark, they spent a 3rd-round pick on this guy. Like, he wasn't a 5th, 6th, 7th, oh, by the way, flyer. I mean, they invested a 3rd-round pick on this guy, and he looks like he's the best of the bunch.
And they traded up to do that too. I mean, they knew what they were getting here. He showed signs of being really good last year. Just really wasn't given the chance simply because he wasn't playing with the right personnel on the field here. He didn't have that last night. He didn't have starters around him last night, but he did play really, really well. He will make the team here. Whether or not it's going to be as a 2nd or a 3rd string quarterback remains to be seen. But I will not be surprised between now and opening day that something big doesn't come out of Cleveland in the Shedeur Sanders, Deshaun Watson quarterback race here. Something is brewing in Cleveland, and don't be surprised if one of these two players is either traded or let go.
That's what I'm thinking too. You mentioned the coffee club. Good article because I kind of like this team. I know their schedule is brutal. It just is. But they point out in the coffee club today about the Arizona Cardinals, a team that history says should be on the rebound for this year, right?
Well, history says they should be on the rebound this football season here. The problem is the personnel that they have to do it with. They made quite a few wholesale changes here. Kyler Murray's gone, which is probably better for the football program here. But there's a lot to like about this Arizona team. They're the kind of team, Scott, that people are going to play. They're going to be sneaky. Teams are not going to play. They're going to obviously play more down to their level than they are up to their level here. And I think you watch and see by the end of the year, Arizona Cardinals will cash more tickets than they lose.
I think so too. I think offensively too. Bet their either game totals or team total over. Their offense is as good as they get just a little bit of quarterback play out of Jacoby Brissett. I think he's like halfway decent.
He is halfway decent. He's an ideal backup quarterback in the National Football League and the kind of a guy you need to steer this program.
Yeah, got to be getting set for the NFL season. I know that. Obviously, the college football season, Mark. So, what do you got going on over at playbooksports.com?
Well, we're getting ready, Scott. Our preview guide magazines are just about out right now, which is good. For whatever reason, we had a big rush this football season here. Amazon did a great job selling these magazines. Now, it wasn't through us. It was through our newsstand affiliates. But we're doing real well with the magazine there that way this year. And we also have a new design website, which is a lot easier for people to use. Anybody that subscribes to anything I do, whether it's my service or publications for the season, will get that coffee club free in your inbox every morning at 6 a.m. Eastern sharp.
Cool. It's got a bunch of nuggets for the action, whether it's baseball, whether it's football, college football, NFL. It's got it all there. So it's nice little startup to the day for sure. Mark, great job as always, man. Do appreciate it. Good luck with the plays this weekend, and we'll talk again next week.
Hey, enjoy the game, Scott. The pig is in the air. Have a great weekend.
It is. It is. Thanks,
Bye.
Mark.
Bye-bye.
All right. All right, there you go. Marc Lawrence, playbooksports.com. So we got a couple of college football games out of him. But I saw his newsletter today. Those are the ones that he was playing. Like I said, there's only 8 games, right? So he takes it a little slowly, as I fully understand. You and I may bet them all, but the smart guy doesn't. The smart guy says, "Yeah, let me see a couple of games," right? But you and I are just like, yeah, we got to bet them all. I just have to bet them all. So I'll run them down here for you. And again, check out his website, playbooksports.com. So TCU, North Carolina. I think there are a couple of games here that, maybe not the wrong team is favored, but in the case of TCU, I don't think that should be a 9.5-point favorite. They lost their starting quarterback. It's not the same TCU team from last year. The quarterback went to Indiana. They brought in a guy from Harvard, Jaden Craig. Now, he may be pretty good, but going from Harvard, which literally, if you've ever been to an Ivy League game, is basically glorified high school football. My nephew went to Columbia. It really is. It's nothing special. And now you're gonna throw him to the fire. You talk about like these 1AA teams going to the FBS level here, or FCS level. You're asking like lower 1AA. I got to see that to believe it. I think North Carolina can win this outright. Numbers aren't good. All right, and you wonder why the numbers are what they are as far as against the spread and point spread wise, 9.5, 8.5. North Carolina, it's ugly, right? 0-7 against the spread against Big 12 teams, which TCU is in. 5-20-1 against the spread on games played on grass versus artificial turf. TCU 9-3-1. On games played on grass. So you got one bad team and against one really good team. So sometimes you just got to throw that stuff out the window. And I'm going to believe in Belichick. He last year was so embarrassingly bad. He could have just left. He could have just said, it's not for me. He didn't. He brings in Petrino. I can't help but think that offense is going to be that much better. And now I'm going up. Now Bill Belichick versus a quarterback from Harvard. And you're telling me he's not going to be able to come up with a game plan to stop him? I think North Carolina wins outright. I'm definitely going to grab them plus the 8.5, 9.5. San Jose State to USC, it's 33.5. What do you do with games like that, right? I'm more inclined to take a hunch on the underdog on those things. Lose 50-14. Actually, that'd be 36 points. 50-17. You win by the hook, something like that. San Jose State is 7-0 against the spread on games played on grass. Maybe the over. San Jose 7-3 over their last 10 games last year. USC 27-9 over their last 36 home games. That's a pretty good number. They have no problem running up the score under Lincoln Riley, who's entering year number 5. So they got 12 starters returning from last year's team, including their star quarterback. So you know what? Forget San Jose State, although you could play them if you want. But I'll go with the over. FanDuel right now has the over at get an updated line 61.5. That's a big number. You count on 45 from USC, and then you got to get basically 14 to 17 points out of San Jose State. That's how you got to, you break it down that way. That kind of puts it into perspective. That's a lot of points. That was 33.5 last night. It's 38.5 now. So the money's coming in on USC. And that might be a stay away game. If anything, if anything, I'd take a flyer, believe it or not, on the over, even 61.5. Why not? I like North Carolina State. Like Mark, I think they got the better quarterback in a situation like North Carolina. They got C.J. Bailey entering his 3rd year as a starter. You never, ever, ever see that in college football anymore. But year number 3, he's thrown for 3,100 yards and accounted for 31 touchdowns last year alone. Meanwhile, you got Bo Prabula. He sucks. Transfer, he was a backup at Penn State, if you remember, for a couple of years. Went to Missouri last year. He threw for 1,900 yards and 11 touchdowns. Then 9 interceptions. Nothing great. So I got the better quarterback. I got the team that's beaten Virginia 4 straight, including last year, 35-31. So you know what? I'll take North Carolina. State. I think I'll play both North Carolinas. I think they win the game outright. I'll go with Mark on the North Dakota State Bison as well. Moment of truth for the Bison. Laying 7. That's up from 6.5. They're tough to beat at home. They don't lose home games. 27 straight home openers. 10-4 against the spread. Their last 14 games at home. You want to go over? North Dakota State's 10-1 over their last 11 games. 10-1 over their last 11 non-conference games. And Jacksonville State is 1-5 against the spread. At least they were last year on the road. So over-under there is 46.5. That's not a bad number. And then FanDuel's got it back down to 6.5. Little juice minus 128. So I like North Carolina, or I like North Dakota State and the over there. Nothing on Sacramento State, Eastern Michigan. Like nothing. Just no, I couldn't find anything. And I look all the time. Like Hawaii getting to 4 against Stanford. You know, Hawaii 8-2 against the spread their last 10 games last year. Their one Achilles heel is they do a lot of their damage at home. On the road, 4-11 against the spread. But they were 9-4 last season. Their quarterback is back, who threw for over 3,100 yards and 24 touchdowns, so he's pretty good. Stanford is just a mess. 4-8 last season. They've had 5 straight losing seasons. They got a new head coach who used to be the quarterback there way back when. They got a backup, a Michigan backup. If you remember Davis Warren as their starting quarterback, he sucks. So I got to see it to believe it. He hasn't played because of a torn ACL in a couple of seasons. Give me Hawaii plus the 4.5. New Mexico State, Florida State. I'm not laying that kind of wood with Florida State. No way, no how. They're a train wreck waiting to happen. Head coach is dead man walking. They're laying 30. Where is it? 32.5. New Mexico State, you know, they made some inroads over the year. There was a time when Mexico State would be just absolutely atrocious. And while they're not good, they're not like that so much anymore. Florida State 2-7 against the spread their last 9 games as well. So I'll either stay away or give you New Mexico State plus the 32.5. This Florida State team is so bad and so disorganized and such in flux. They could lose this outright. That they really could. I don't think they will, but they really could. Memphis UNLV. Looking forward to this one because this is a double whammy. We got over UNLV team total, and we got Memphis under. So UNLV 13-1 in non-conference games. They're laying 4.5 the last 5 years. Memphis 5-1 against the spread their last 6 non-conference games. But this is a different Memphis team. They lost their head coach. He took the whole coaching staff, basically. All the players left. It's a whole new regime. They're starting from absolute scratch, which happens a lot of times when you fire a head coach and you don't hire, one of the assistants. Everybody leaves. So I got to see it to believe it. UNLV's decent team. Dan Mullen, their head coach. So I like the Running Rebels here, laying a 4.5. And there are your college football games. Those are the ones that we, for the most part have. Like I said, the only thing we didn't have anything on was Sacramento State and Eastern Michigan, which I would just stay away from. So college football is underway. How about that? Should be a lot of fun. Hopefully we'll get some winners this week. And college football opposite picks. Not enough games today. We'll definitely start that next Friday when we have a full slate of games. So quick little break. We'll come back. We got some PGA stuff to get to. We got some WNBA stuff to get to. We got our own picks that we give out, the 3-pack every single time. And then we got some college football over-under team totals. We gave out a whole slew of them. I'll give you 5 of our locks that cannot lose. And, of course, Sophie Cunningham's story that's I'm surprised about this one. Well, let's put it that way. And maybe the greatest and craziest college football finish ever. That's all coming up right here on the Scott Wetzel Show on FanStream Sports.
Hi, golfers. IndyCar Tim here. I want to talk to you a little bit about Golf Central Magazine. It's not just a golf magazine. It's the magazine for everything. Turf, travel, philanthropy, and lifestyle. Head over to golfcentralmag.com and check out the latest issue. Some of the regular features in Golf Central Magazine: the Golf Bachelorette of the Month, the Golf Bachelor of the Month, the Golf Cart Girl of the Month, Golf History, Grip It and Sip It. So head over to golfcentralmag.com. It's free. It's the magazine for everything: turf, travel, philanthropy, and lifestyle. Golf Central Magazine at golfcentralmag.com. We'll see you there.
Sports fans, it's time to gear up. Head to fanstreamsports.com and check out our brand new merchandise store. We're talking bold t-shirts, 3/4 zips, hoodies, hats, mugs, and more. Everything you need to rep your favorite shows and your favorite crew. Whether you're rolling with the J.P. Peterson Show in Tampa Bay, From the Rough in Dallas, the Tim May Show featuring Clay Hall, or the Jeff Thidoff Show in Ohio, or any of our FanStream Sports original programming, we've got the perfect look for game day and every day. So don't wait. fanstreamsports.com. Click merch and grab your gear now. Wear the stream, live the stream. fanstreamsports.com.
Hey folks, let me tell you about Bay Area Modern Medical Center, a very different kind of approach to primary care. Personalized preventative medicine, not a one-pill-fits-all mentality. Christopher Lugo and his experienced medical staff are proactive in looking at issues before they become a problem, encouraging a healthy lifestyle with proper diet, supplements, and exercise to optimize your active lifestyle. Rather than the impersonal, rushed approach, you will be the only patient and will have our full attention. That's new. Getting old is inevitable, but feeling and looking old is avoidable. Bay Area Modern Medical Centers are experts in anti-aging regenerative medicine that optimizes your body's performance in many areas. So call for an appointment to get started on a journey back to full health and a happy life with a new, modern way of healthcare. Call 844-977-3477 or go to BAMMC.com. That's 844-977-3477 or BAMMC.com.
Today's show is brought to you by Tom's Town, a premier craft distillery based in Kansas City, Missouri. Discover their award-winning lineup, including double oaked bourbon, botanical gin, and double grain vodka, named the best craft vodka by the readers of USA Today. Available for online delivery in 40 states. Visit toms-town.com or their Kansas City distillery to explore more. Elevate your game with Tom's Town, where history meets innovation. Please enjoy responsibly. Orion Golf Management Solutions. Orion Management Solutions has tailored its service packages just like it tailors its approach to customers. Some owners need more supervision, while others need periodic assessment of their short-term and long-term strategies and programs. Orion can be called in to develop a business plan with the existing staff, or we can assist with the daily management of a facility or event. Either way, we make sure the client is satisfied and understands the direction the facility needs to go in order to achieve the owner's goals. Orion Management Solutions can help with owner assistance service solutions, daily course management, business plan development, monthly operations, or as-needed consulting services. Whatever your need, Orion Golf Management Solutions can help. Check out oriongolf.com.
Let's go! Right now, back to the show on FanStream Sports.
And welcome back. It is the Scott Wetzel Show right here on FanStreamSports.com. FanStreamSports.com on a fabulous football Friday. All right, we gave you some college football winners as far as the games themselves. How about some team totals? Well, before we do that, how about maybe, and I don't remember this one. And I'm pretty good with this college football stuff. I don't remember this play, but how about a little Western Michigan Ball State back in 2020? Ball State leading at 30-27. Western Michigan trying one of those razzle-dazzle.
Back to Ellaby, the quarterback. Here's Moore. A lot of laterals near midfield. It winds up with French. Back to Ellaby.
They're going backwards.
Are you counting?
5.
Moore, another lateral. Someone just wants to be open here. Ellaby. This is going to wind up being a safety.
8.
Jalen Hall spins, gets rid of it to Jefferson.
10.
It's the annexation of Puerto Rico.
11.
Recovered by Ball State. 12. And the Cardinals said Detroit or bust.
Not yet. Wait a minute.
Not yet.
No, this ball is still live.
And flags have flown. Oh, boy.
The official, they have not blown this dead yet. They have not blown this dead yet.
Moore is up and running.
They have
down
not blown it dead yet.
Sky Moore to the end zone. That's a Western Michigan touchdown.
Oh, how great is that? Here's the one, though, that I think did them in.
Laterals near midfield. It winds up with French. Back to Ellaby.
All good.
They're going backwards.
Are you counting? Moore, another lateral.
Boom. They disallowed the touchdown. When everything was said and done, they said, no, there was one illegal forward pass. And I think that was the one. Look where he's throwing the football from.
French back to Ellaby.
They're going backwards.
Are you counting?
This guy. Right?
More.
He's at the 31-yard line, and look where the guy is who catches the ball.
Another lateral. Someone
at the 34. That's the one. So, but how great was that? They lateraled it 16 times, only to find out that the official, like, how could they call too many men on the field? Both teams were, I always said that about the Stanford Cal play, right? How is it that no one got called for too many men on the field? I mean, if you're going to allow a crazy play, then that means you're allowing the play to go on. And there were clearly way too many men on the field for Cal for that play. And the same thing here. I got 70 guys on the field. I got 140 guys on the field. And there wasn't one too many too many guys on the field penalty. But how about, I don't remember that finish. I don't. I honestly don't remember. I saw that. I was like, no, is this real? And I Googled it. Yep, 2020. Ball State ended up winning it. They did not allow that touchdown. You talk about losing a game, though, right? That would have been just, oh, my goodness. And the ball was live. They did not, it was never down. I give the officials credit. And I give the officials credit for calling that penalty because it was barely a forward pass, but it was. It must have been, though, so I didn't see the beginning of the play because, and I'm sure they crossed the line. And once you cross the line of scrimmage, even though if you go backwards, you can't throw a forward pass. So they started that on a running play, we'll say. The guy runs, 10 yards down the field. He gets stopped and starts lateraling it backwards, and it goes behind the line of scrimmage. You cannot then throw a pass. Once you cross the line of scrimmage, that's it. So I'm guessing that's why, that forward pass, if it was on a play, not like a punt or something, that was disallowed. But yeah, how about that? Imagine losing that game. Oh my goodness, I'd quit. If I was the head coach, I just, I just quit. I can't take it. So there's that play, right? And we'll go down memory lane number 2. We talked about, remember, 2 weeks ago, a week or so ago, about Miami and Mario Cristobal against Georgia Tech. Just take a freaking knee. You win the football game. Literally, that's it. It's second down. Why run the play with 30 seconds left? You don't have to. This one, I do remember. This was back in 1999. I remember this. Similar situation, UNLV.
Kevin Steele. He has a 3-point lead, less than 20 seconds left. Take an knee. They win the game. Instead, he tries to score. Says he wanted to establish a winning program. Obviously, this is not what he had in mind. Darrell Bush fumbles. Kevin Thomas goes 99 yards the other way. UNLV wins 20.
The Baylor head coach, it was his first year on the job. And as you heard the announcer say, one to set a winning whatever. Just take a knee. You win 24-20, right? This Mope decides to run up the score. I remember that. That one I do remember. That was back in 1999. This Mope decides to run up the score. Fumbles the football and it's returned 99 yards. Wow. I've never suffered that in all my great glory days of playing. Any kind of loss like that. Fan of games like that, yes. Billy Buckner plays the Red Sox and everything else. But playing, no, I've never, never remember anything crazy like that. That would just be like wild. Just wild. So, all right. So here are our locks. Cannot lose. Top. We gave out a slew of them last week. Gave out a slew of them before that as well. If you want more, join the podcast. We always give out more things on the podcast. Doesn't cost you. Well, it does cost you a couple $, but next to nothing anyway. So here are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Right. Speaking of Ball State, they're going to be one of them, which is why I wanted to play that clip. I'm going to go over 3.5 Ball State. I know it's MAC football. I get that. Where the hell is Ball State, Scott? It's in Indiana, if you really need to know. But the team hit the transfer portal hard. They were awful last year, but they got a bunch of new kids. Now, again, they're not getting 4 or 5-star kids. But, anytime you go to a transfer portal, that helps the cause when you're replacing bad players. They have basically 3 automatic wins on their schedule. 1 AA Stony Brook, Sacramento State, who we're going to see later on tonight, will blow, and UMass, even though their 1A level sucks. So they're good enough to beat those 3 teams. All we need is 1 win, just 1 more win, and we're in the bag. So I think they get 5 or 6, to tell you the truth. I don't play, these that I think are going to get maybe one more over the number. I look for teams that I think you get actually 2, if not more, over the number. And I could see this team going 6-6, at worst 5-6. So give me over 3.5, Ball State. How about under 8.5, Wisconsin? This team might not win 6 games. I mean, yes, they don't play somehow or another any of the big boys in the Big Ten. No Ohio State, no Michigan, no Oregon. But that still leaves games. They have a non-conference game against Notre Dame, not winning. At Iowa, not winning. At Penn State, not winning. USC, not winning. And at UCLA, probably not winning. They're not going 9-3, which is what they would have to go, obviously, to get over 8.5. I mean, they were awful last year. Coach is on his last leg. It just hasn't worked out, for Wisconsin. 9-3, even without those big guys on the schedule, for a team that was bad last year. No. This might be the best one out of all of them, to tell you the truth. I got 2 others, but pecking order, they would be top 1, 2, or 3. This play, there's no freaking way in the world they're going 9-3. This other one is a consideration for maybe the best one. Under 4.5, Mississippi State. Who made their schedule? They clearly weren't Mississippi State fans. I do not see 5 wins. I don't really see 3 wins, to tell you the truth. Mississippi State has to play basically all the big boys, unlike Wisconsin, outside of Georgia. They got Alabama. They have LSU. They have Oklahoma. They have Texas. They have Ole Miss. They even have Auburn, which is, going to be halfway decent this year. 5 wins. Could they beat UL Monroe to start the season? All right, there's 1. Are they winning at Minnesota? No. Are they winning at South Carolina? Not with Lenore's, what's-his-face there coming back. No. Missouri? No. Alabama? No. LSU? Oklahoma? Texas? Could they beat Vandy? You know what? I'll say yes, but I don't, because it's at home. But the Vandy program, I know they lost Pavia, but I'm more into the whole program. When these star quarterbacks leave, everyone thinks they're going to go back, but that head coach is really good. So I doubt that, but let's say 2 there. Auburn, no. Tennessee Tech, they could win that one. That's 3, and then they finish up with that Ole Miss. That's 3. I still need to find 2 more. So even if you give them Tennessee Tech, even if you give them UL Monroe, which I'm okay with, even if you give them Vandy, I'm going to get 2 more? I mean, they're just not beating Alabama, LSU, Oklahoma, Texas, right? Ole Miss. You could automatically, there are 6 losses right there. They would have to go 5-1 all the other games. I'll definitely take my 4.5. I know it doesn't sound like a lot, but man, that might be the best bet. That might be the best bet. If not that one, that's why these are the best bets, right? How about over 8 Boise State? They would have to lose 5 times, right? 7-5 in order for this not to hit. They haven't lost 5 times in a season in my lifetime, for goodness sakes. Their star quarterback returns, their star running back returns, their head coach returns, which is saying something now in college football. They might make the NCAA playoffs legitimately. They're in that goofy, Pac-12. And so it's not even the Mountain West, which is, halfway decent football, right? No, not anymore. They moved to the Pac-12. Colorado State, Fresno State, Oregon State, San Diego State, Texas State, Utah State, Washington State. There's not a whole lot there to get in Boise State's way to think that they're going to lose again 5 times. I don't view it, which may be smart, maybe it's not. I don't view this as what do I need to win the bet. I view these over-under as what needs to happen for me to lose the bet. So could they go 8-4? Yes. So you could be saying, Scott, are they going to go 9-3? That's what I would need to win this bet. Maybe, maybe not. But I know there's a better chance of them going 9-3 than 7-5. They have Oregon, so they won't win that one. But they got a brand new Memphis team, South Dakota, Western Michigan, Utah State at home, Fresno State, Washington State might be okay, Texas State, Colorado State blows, Oregon State, San Diego State. But that one's even at home. So they really only have at Oregon, San Diego State at home, and probably at Washington State. They could lose all three of those, and they would still need to lose 2 more times in order for you to lose the bet. I don't see it. I don't know where they came from making that line 8. I love that one as well. And then the last one is Florida State, under 6.5. Dead man walking with the head coach, Mike Norvell. He probably should have been fired, but they owe him too much money. The transfer quarterback they got sucks. The last 2 years, the last 2 transferred, DJ Ukulele and Castellanos, the kid from Boston College. He stunk at Boston College. He was there when my daughter went to school there. He stinks or stunk. So then I brought in another quarterback. He's going to stink as well. I don't see 7 wins. 7-5 is a pretty good clip. Even in the ACC, doesn't take a whole lot to get to 7 wins, but this got disaster written all over it. People are going to be talking about the first loss, how the guy's going to get fired. That's too much stress. So, yeah, I don't think it's going to happen for them. But that probably – the pecking order would be – there's 5 of them, right? There's 3 number 1s. Wisconsin, Mississippi State, Boise State. And then probably – Florida State and then Ball State. If you had to put them in an order, that would be the one. But I do like those other 3, and I really like those as well. So that should be a nice 5-0. I got about 25 literally other ones. Again, go to the website oppositepicks.com, hit the Scott Wetzel Show, and then join the podcast, and we'll give you a bunch more. So, or shoot me an email, SW_oppositepicks. I'll explain it all. We'll do that with the NFL next week as well. Little hockey news. How about Connor Hellebuck confirming he wants to be traded from Winnipeg? That was a story a couple of weeks ago. He told people that he stayed behind the scenes, kept it quiet, let the Jets do whatever they wanted to do, but they haven't done anything, and now he wants to go public with it. Training camps open up in 2-3 weeks, mid-September. Hockey, believe it or not, is right around the corner. Hockey starts this year in late September. So I don't know what he's from Winnipeg. The Red Wings just fired their GM. You talk about making a splash, bringing the local USA hero back home. I mean, I don't know what Winnipeg is asking for. I'm sure a ton, just an absolute ton, right? But I don't know if this would get to a point where Connor would sit out. He's got at least 1 year anyway left on his contract. I don't know if he would necessarily do that, but those are the only options to force a trade, right? Boy, they can really ask for a ton, though. If he gave them 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, whatever, 10 teams, except the fact he wants to be moved. He went to school in UMass. How about the Boston Bruins? Go give him, our goaltender, so you get a really good goaltender in return, and maybe you get 1 or 2 prospects from the Bruins. That's not bad. I would, as a Bruin fan, I would take Connor Hellebuck. I know he's had his issues in the postseason, but winning that Olympic medal. Certainly going to kind of ease some of those complaints. So 3-time Vezina Trophy winner, probably the best goaltender in the NHL. One of the certainly top 2, 3, 4 at worst. So guy wants out. If you're Winnipeg, accept the fact he wants out. But boy, that would be a real good get for a team. You imagine putting him on like Edmonton, who's had goaltending issues over the years without breaking up their core. Like, I would never do that if I'm Winnipeg. I would never trade him to a Canadian team. If you want to go, okay, but you're not going to another Canadian team. No way. I'll send you down to Florida. I'll send you down to Tampa. I'll send you down to wherever the case may be. I guess Tampa would be Florida. But I'm not – I can't trade you to a Canadian team. That would be awful. Not to mention, if you're Hellebuck, you're probably like, I want out of Canada. Right? If you want to be out of Winnipeg, you really want to go to Vancouver – or even Edmonton, probably not. So So he makes it official. But yeah, hockey is just a couple training camps in a couple of weeks. Amazing. Man, these seasons are so freaking long. So long. Some golf things. PGA dropped Good as a sponsor. What a goofy name, by the way, that is. Good. What is that? Who came up with that? Good, right? What are you, a 5-year-old? So now they know that's Good sent out their CEO, not one of, but their CEO ripped the PGA, saying the PGA asked us to make a commercial. We send it to them. They approve it. They get criticized for it, and now they're going to fire us. They took their sponsorship away from one of the tournaments the PGA did. So, you asked, we delivered, you approved it, and now you're going to blame us. But yeah, listen, welcome to playing with the big boys. Good. That's what happens. Someone's got to take the fall. It's like the old Chris Carter, speech to the NFL players. Someone, you got to have a fall guy. Simple as that. Just have a buddy that's willing to say it was his drugs. He was driving. He's the one that did it, whatever the case may be. Same thing here. If you're going to take the PGA money and play with the big boys, know that you're in a position, you got to be the fool. Simple as that. You got to be the fool. Should they have, proved it? No. It's really not that big a deal. It's amazing. This is still going on a couple of days later on the internet and people talking about it. It's like, someone got knocked down. Big stinking deal. They were, on the internet. They were on Twitter. They're showing ESPN with their commercials. Knocking women down to the ground. They were showing. We told you yesterday about the Snickers commercial with Betty White getting knocked to the ground. There were a couple of. This stuff happens. It's really not. This world has gotten so woke and so anal. Man, it is just. It's nuts. It really is just. You can't do anything now, without people. It's really, like I said before, if you allow these people to have a say, then they'll run you over. If you just stand up, whether it's the PGA or Good, if they just stood up and said, listen, it's for fun, move on. This should, what the problem is? This should have come out like today. This way, if there was an issue, it would have been overshadowed by the golf. But unfortunately, it came out Monday when there's no golf Monday, no golf Tuesday, no golf Wednesday, and then golf Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. So there was nothing there to take away. If you're a golfer, this is what you were talking about for 3 days. If they released it Wednesday, then the FedEx Cup Championship starts, and then all right, no big deal, whatever. But it should have been a no big deal. Whatever. I'm telling you, you got to fight fire with fire. Learned that a long time ago. Make a stand. When you start backing down, that's when the snowball starts to roll. If you just said on Monday, come on, people, stop it. We were joking, right? And just moved on. It would have been over. But once you start giving that life by sending out apologies and statements, and this doesn't represent us and all that other crap you're asking for trouble. People are protesting. They don't even know what the hell they're protesting. I bet 90% of the people didn't even see the ad. As I told you on Monday or Tuesday, whenever we talked about it, right? The apology made it seem like, oh my God, what did they do? Behead somebody? And then you find out that the woman got knocked down in a bit, right? Stupid. All right, here's the latest for the WNBA. You always have an update. Good old Enos. I tell you what, Enos Kanter is making his money. He's reliving his 15 minutes of fame. Now he's challenging Megan Rapinoe. Get a load of this one.
People who were trying to protect women, first of all, from who? Guys, from who? It's yourself.
From men.
And the facetiousness aside, what she's trying to say here is that we don't need your help, Enes Kanter Freedom.
So, Megan Rapinoe, I'm speaking directly to you.
Listen to this.
After your washed-up career, you've been seeking attention, and I will give you that attention because I'm a nice guy.
That's funny.
I grew up playing soccer, right? And you are one of those female athletes that advocate in male playing in women's sports. And so here I am. I am offering you $5 million to any charity you want. If you beat me one-on-one in soccer, I promise you, any charity you want, I will be donating $5 million. And this is a promise. I'm going to name the place. I'm going to name the time, so you better show up. You were seeking attention, and here it is.
Your old washed up career. How funny is that? Where was this? This guy is like Eli Manning. Eli Manning, when he was playing here in New York, personality zero. I mean, just zero. He could have owned this city, right? But he never really did. I don't really think he was ever that great, to tell you the truth, which is why he's still not in the Hall of Fame. Probably will get there. But personality zero, right? Yeah, the Big Apple right down the road. He's the quarterback of the number one franchise probably in all of sports, believe it or not. If you put all the franchises up for sale, the New York Giants in this area would be the one. So, but he had no personality, nothing. He retires, he hooks up with his brother Peyton, and all of a sudden he's Mr. Gibb. Oh, he's doing commercials now. He's doing the four-letter network TV show and this, that, what have you, right? Same thing with Enos Kanter. Where was Enos Kanter when he was playing? People barely knew him. Who knew he had this kind of personality? Maybe you put him with Charles Barkley or some of the others, that could have been great, right? Somebody calls the washed-up Megan Rapinoe. Now, unfortunately for soccer, it's kind of tough to have a one-on-one in soccer, right? You can do it with baseball. You can't really do it with football. Or you can do it with basketball, rather. And really, basketball is the only one, unless you want to do pitching, with hitting. So that would be tough. But I hear these women say it all the time, like, who are you protecting us from? They're trying to protect you from all the guys. And he says he has 8 other guys that are set to join the WNBA. And he made a good point. He said that G League players only make about $45,000. They make next to nothing. I didn't think it was that little, right? In the NBA. He's telling those people, just become a transgender. And we told you how easy it is, right? And just say you want to play in the WNBA and make over $1 million. And that's what the top WNBA players make. You go from $45,000, barely staying alive, to making over $1 million. You say you're a transgender. There's no proof. There's no chemicals. There's no anything. Like I said, we pointed out. And then, boom, make yourself, millions of dollars for 2-3 years of playing. And then, go back to being a man. The epiphany hit you. You realize it was all a mistake. That's what they're trying to protect you from, Megan. That's the stuff. I know it's a mockery. I know he's making a sham of it all, but that's what he's trying to show you, that the whole thing is a sham. Being a transgender person is a sham. We told you that. Crazy. Sophie Cunningham. This is interesting. Watch this. You saw that, right? Takes it one step further, apparently.
Casino for me, sweetie.
I will see that again. We saw this. We showed this the other day. Nothing wrong with that.
Go to Bet Online and win $1 million in the casino for me, sweetie.
All right. Nothing. What's the problem, Scott? No real problem. Is it real or is it AI, though? We saw the video yesterday, as a matter of fact. That's why we're always ahead of the game here. Of her walking towards the camera, pulling her pants down real quickly and seeing just her shorts, right? Not her bare ass like that. So, did she go one step further for Bet Online? I Googled it just to see, is this AI, right? So, as it turns out, she's not a sponsor of Bet Online. In fact, she sponsors Hard Rock Bet, another casino. So why are they doing her stuff? I don't know. I Googled it. It says Bet Online, for whatever reason, frequently features highlights of her on their social media pages, which is where I got this. Polls and memes and different things like that. But she doesn't have an endorsement contract. And like I said, not only doesn't she have an endorsement contract with them, she's got it with another casino. So how are they not being sued if that's not legit? Which I don't think it would be. Like I said, I don't think she would be saying that. I don't doubt she would show her ass, but I don't think she would be suggesting people go to Bet Online when she's being sponsored by Hard Rock Bet, right? Kind of weird.
Scott, that's 100% AI, by the way.
It is, right? Yeah. So I
somebody went in and took the clip of her that we showed yesterday, because you can see the chop in the video where they put it in, and then the rest of it's all AI. And yeah, Bet Online's done this with other celebrities and gotten in trouble for it in the past.
They have to, right?
Yeah.
They can't do that. Not to mention they're showing her whole ass, even though it's probably not hers, but they're making it seem like it. And she's a sponsor of another casino. I mean, how in the world are they not getting in further trouble? Wow, that's kind of weird. So, by the way, she is an unrestricted free agent next season. I Googled it. She makes about $1 million in endorsements. She makes about $665,000 playing for the Fever, and she's going to be a free agent at the end of the season. Caitlin Clark's going to be a free agent after one more year. So, just curious, would a team sign up for her and know what she brings to the table? Is she going to be? And she's making $665,000. The way people show up for her and Caitlin Clark, she could probably triple that. I bet she would become the highest paid player, in the WNBA. That would really piss off the players. Ooh, those black women would really, they would be just beyond. If they knew she was making $500,000 more or $1 million more than them for showing a little booty, right? Oh my goodness. This league's not going to be, I'm telling you, this league is not going to be here. 2-3 years from now, not going to be here. When Caitlin Clark, if it's not gone by next year, when Caitlin Clark becomes a free agent after next season and gets $3-4 million, and that, if they didn't get pissed off with Sophie, they're really going to get pissed off with Clark. This has got craziness. Real quickly here, because I'm running out of time. I've been saying this all week, so I'm not surprised. The ACC joined the fray, right? That they became the latest conference to tell college football, basketball players that turn pro, you can't come back to college. But what I've been saying all week, a judge ruled that they can. So now another judge, after the ACC joined the Big 10, the Big 12, and the SEC, saying, nope, once you turn pro, you can't come back. And a Dallas judge yesterday signed an order that says, no, you can't say that. Wetzel's right. He's not right about a lot of things, but he's right about that. The courts have said these kids can come back. So you can make any dopey rule you want. You have to allow, whether it's the SEC or ACC or whatever, you have to allow these kids to come back because that's the law now. So, yeah, I didn't quite get why they thought they could because of the rules, like we've been saying. And now, and I told you yesterday, someone's going to take them to court, and lo and behold, somebody did. And now they got a bunch of players, a Cowboy player and 2 Kansas City players. 41 players listed as plaintiffs that want to come back now. So they're going to have to be let in. Simple as that. Real quick on our YouTube chat. Not too much today. Michael chimed in. Says he'd rather watch a preseason football game than a WNBA game. Yeah, that's. I think most people would probably say that. If you put that in a poll, right? But then he was talking about the Dodgers, last year. And we were talking about all their issues and everything else. And yet they still won the World Series last year, Mike. Yeah, you're right. They did. So they may do the same thing this year. I just don't think they're deserving of an overwhelming favorite. I can give you more ammunition on why they shouldn't win versus why they should win. Let's put it that way. And we did that earlier today. So our 3-pack of winners, again, 2-1. Not a bad week. Not having any picks on Wednesday. I was gone. So we had 2-1 last night. We hit with the Mercury, or the Mystics rather, who beat the Mercury. We were laying 3.5. They won by 7. Won with the Braves, and we lost with the Chargers. So we're back over almost $500. So where are we going to go today, Scott? I'll lay off the preseason football. It's a little too goofy. I gave you all the trends if you want to play those. WNBA. Got a bunch of big-time favorites today, so I'll lay off those. Indiana, 16.5-point favorite. Las Vegas, 13.5. Atlanta, 12.5. I'll tell you what, I'll give you one. We'll make this. We'll go against the Washington Mystics. Last night we were on them. They won. They're playing their 3rd game in 4 nights. That's that. And last night they had to rally in the 4th quarter to get the win. So 3 games in 4 nights for NBA players is tough, let alone WNBA players, right? And now you're talking about, I love going against teams that had to rally late in games to win games, that they're mentally exhausted, physically exhausted. That's the case. I think the LA Sparks, who aren't any good, but I think the Sparks at least get the cover. Maybe not, maybe even win outright, but I'll take them plus the 5.5 against the Washington Mystics. Baseball, we'll give you 2 baseball ones here. I like the Dodgers tonight. I know everyone's going to be on them. Skubal is pitching for them. It's minus 180. It's not that bad of a price. Normally, I'd lay a 1.5, but they do win a ton of games by 1 runs. They're coming off getting swept by the Atlanta Braves. They got to be pissed off. Skubal's first game back in Detroit. Another situation where Dolphins will probably give Tua boos. Certainly the Tigers will give Skubal a standing ovation. I would be real surprised. I don't think they blame him. He didn't want out. They just didn't want to pay him. As simple as that. So I'd be shocked beyond belief. So I think he pitches inspired ball, and the Dodgers are due for a win. So I like the Dodgers minus the 180. And then the last one in baseball, I'll put the black cloud on the Stankies. Minus 150 against our Red Sox. The one guy who's not pitched well for Boston is on the hill tonight, Patrick Sandoval. He was on the DL for the longest time, came back. He's made, 3, maybe 4 starts. 1-2 ERA over 4.5. Not good. He's a left-handed pitcher too. Schlitter's on the hill for the Stankies, former Boston guy, not Red Sox, but grew up as a Red Sox fan in the Boston area. He's been terrific. So you're laying only $1.50. So Stankies minus 150, Dodgers minus 180, LA Sparks WNBA plus the 5.5. And you got all the college football plays. You got all the over-unders. And then the games themselves, I gave you some winners on that. And hopefully we get some winners this weekend. So with that said, I will leave you with – this is a good one. We outdid ourselves on this one. But, we got to see that again, Scott. Yes, you do. Holy fudge. One more time. Why not? Now, is that, they got to be real, right? Right? I mean, I don't see any, could they be balloons or something that they just, put underneath the shirt? Yeah, they could be, but I'll take my chances. Those are real. Yeah, I'll just, oops, there you go. Yeah, not bad. Not bad. So, have yourselves a great weekend, folks. By the way, big announcement you see on the scroll there, we're going to be taking phone calls next week. How about that? You see the number 214-667-1251. So in addition to emails and tweets and YouTube chats, phone calls going back and forth. So I know the LLs have been asking for that for the longest time on the podcast. I'm not going to have it there, but we will have it here. So good job by the folks here at fanstreamsports.com. Looking forward to that. So we'll get your reaction on Monday from all the college football stuff and preview all the NFL stuff as well. So enjoy the weekend, folks. Be safe. And that is that. So we'll talk to you on Monday right here. Go to fanstreamsports.com for all the other previous shows. Fanstreamsports.com. Plenty of other shows that you could get to listen to as well. So we will talk to you on Monday. Yeah, I think